Hello and welcome to another trip with Short Transit. Today, I want to show you a secret economy class that AirAsia X does not advertise to its passengers on a 5-hour flight from Kuala Lumpur to Perth on board a former Philippine Airlines Airbus A330. Join me on this trip to see how you could potentially travel in much better comfort while paying very little money when flying with AirAsia X. Glad you're joining me today. So let me transport you to Kuala Lumpur International Airport where this journey begins. Hi all and welcome to Short Transit, a channel where we make videos travelling on interesting modes of transportation around Asia, usually on airlines in the region, but also trains, buses and more. So if you find this sort of content interesting, do consider subscribing to the channel. It's free and helps us a ton. If you want to support the channel, we also have a Patreon page. Your support is always greatly appreciated. But now, back to Kuala Lumpur International Airport Terminal 2, where I've just arrived from Singapore on board one of AirAsia's brand new Airbus A321neo. From here, I'll be connecting onwards to Perth on board AirAsia X. So let me show you how it's like to transit here at KLA2. Transiting here onto another international flight is incredibly easy. Just show your boarding pass to this officer and you'll be led through to the departures area. There's nothing much to do at this hour in KLA2, so I just settled with some Burger King for a not very short transit of 4 hours. Hours passed, and it's finally time to head to my gate. Security screening at KLA2 takes place after the main commercial area, which was rather quick at this hour with less departures. On the other side, there's significantly fewer shops, so don't come here too early. Here's our plane for today. This 11-year-old white-tailed Airbus A330 with the registration 9er Mike X-Ray Bravo Foxtrot. This particular plane used to fly for Philippine Airlines before 2021, but due to the unfortunate events of 2020, they had to return this jet to the lessor early. Interestingly, when AirAsia X took over the plane in 2022, it left the plane untouched and did not reconfigure the cabin to its infamous 333 economy layout. Other than this plane, there are also a few more jets with unmodified cabins in AirAsia X fleet, which I'll tell you more about later. It's soon time for me to board this aircraft. Quite excited to see what it's like inside. Entering our plane, we can see that our aircraft is fitted with a very comfortable 242 layout for economy. A world of difference when compared with the infamous 333 economy layout you'll find on AirAsia X normal Airbus A330. Ahead of the economy class cabin, there are also 24 premium economy seats in a 232 layout and a proper staggered 1-to-1 business class configuration with 18 lie-flat seats at the pointy end of the plane. This is definitely a very comfortable configuration with only 309 seats on board. Here's my seat for tonight's flight, 46 Alpha, a window seat on the left side of the plane. Unlike the extremely tight normal AirAsia X seats, these seats have a pretty generous 18 inches of width and 32 inches of pitch, which is great for my overnight flight to Perth. Even better, after the doors are closed, I got an empty seat beside me, which is even greater news. By the way, the entertainment screens do not work, just in case you're wondering. Now that we're in the air, let's talk about this route we're flying today. The Kuala Lumpur to Perth route is a very competitive route, with up to 6 daily flights on 3 airlines. Batik Air and AirAsia X see the cheapest fares on the route, with fares starting at the ballpark of $100 on some days of the week, which is incredibly cheap for a 5.5-hour international flight. Meanwhile, Malaysia Airlines charges around 2 to 3 times more than the budget airlines, starting north of $300. Our seat on board today's flight is of course not the standard on AirAsia X, but we'll take a look at it. For me, at a height of 1.8 meters, the legroom was pretty great, with quite a bit of room to stretch. The screens on board do not work unfortunately, as AirAsia X does not offer entertainment for passengers. That also means you can't charge your devices with the USB-A port under the screen as the whole system is turned off. Looking at the seat pocket, it contains a standard safety card, the onboard menu, which we'll take a look at later, a duty-free magazine, a bath bag, and interestingly, a cocktail list. The headrest, coupled with the generous seat padding and recline, made this a very comfortable seat to be on for flights of such lengths. AirAsia X has some of the most intriguing menus I've ever seen on board an airline. Flipping through the menu, you've got your usual casserole dishes, snacks, canned drinks, 3 different sizes of nasi lemak, lattes, bubble tea, and most bizarrely, freaking mala beef noodle soup and porridge. Like, how the heck do they serve that on board? I really wanted to find out, but I wasn't really in the mood to try that at 4 in the morning unfortunately. This time, I went with the trusty Pak Nasser nasi lemak for my supper, which apparently is AirAsia's most popular in-flight meal. Sprinkling some crispy anchovies and peanuts on the nasi lemak. It's time to dig in. Wow, this is indeed delicious. The rice was aromatic with hints of coconut and pandan, while the boneless rendang flavoured chicken was savoury and flavourful. The sambal sauce on the side was more on the sweet side and not too spicy, perfectly complementing the dish. I thought that this dish definitely lives up to its hype, and it's a pretty decent replication of the nasi lemak you'll find in Malaysia. After that very enjoyable meal, I felt my eyes growing heavier and my consciousness fading away. I leaned against that comfortable seat, turned off the lights, and drifted to sleep. Yep, I did just miss the sunrise by an hour. But that was a pretty solid 3 hours of sleep though. Feeling thirsty, I ordered a cup of tea leaf milk tea with pearls. Okay, to be honest, it's not exactly as good as milk tea on the ground, but the novelty of having it in the air is just really awesome. Where else can you enjoy a cup of bubble tea in the air at 40,000 feet? Before we land into Perth, it's time to visit the loo. Nothing out of the ordinary here, but the toilet was spacious and was kept pretty clean when I visited. After saying all this, you may be wondering, how can you fly on this plane while paying normal AirAsia X ticket prices? There are 4 A330s in the fleet without the infamous 333 layout in economy class, having acquired them in 2022 when demand was recovering quickly. These planes used to fly for Singapore Airlines and Philippine Airlines before 2020, with AirAsia X retaining the rather premium cabins of the planes. This means you can fly in Singapore Airlines' own economy class seats and Philippine Airlines staggered business class seats with direct aisle access with just an AirAsia X ticket. Even better, If you happen to fly on the same plane as I did in economy, you can upgrade to the premium economy cabin for just $50 extra on this route, as it's only classified as a quiet zone. To know if you're flying on any of these 4 planes, just check on the seat map when booking your ticket and see if the cabin is in a 242 layout for economy, or these following layouts in business class. There are no fixed flights that these planes fly on, but Sydney, Melbourne, Denpasar and Delhi are common destinations for these jets.
Dear guests, we have just landed at Perth International Airport.
Welcome to Perth. To sum up, this has been a pretty decent flight on board AirAsia X, with a very decent soft product and a pretty comfortable seat on board. AirAsia X has a surprisingly creative and extensive menu on board, with relatively affordable prices, with delicious food and drinks, especially the nasi lemak that they served on board. The cabin crew on my aisle were very friendly and helpful. Getting to fly on this seat over the standard cramped AirAsia X seat was a great delight. But honestly, I don't see this lasting for too long, given AirAsia X roots as a low-cost carrier, so try to fly on it while you can. Thanks for joining us today. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on your next short transit.